Hello everybody, welcome back to Firefield Junction and welcome back to another review for you. And first of all, apologies if you can hear the weather outside. It really is quite nasty out there at the moment. Very windy. Yeah, really not very good out there at the moment. So apologies if you can hear the odd sort of knock and rattle from the wind. But we're not going to let that get us down, and we're going to carry on and we're going to have a look at another locomotive. So what have we got for us today? Well, as we can see, it's by Hornby and it's a Class 66 that we've got for us today. It's been a very long time and since I've looked at a 66 from Hornby. But this particular one, as we can see, it's in the HS2 livery and it's 66796, and it's a, well, as we can see there, it's a GBRF Class 66, this particular one. So it's GBRF that operate it, but as far as I know, it is owned by HS2. I could be wrong, but that's from what I've read and from what I've seen, that does appear to be the case, and it has been painted. I can't quite remember when exactly it was painted, but it's not overly long ago. It is quite recent, and it was painted into this very nice, quite attractive livery. Still haven't seen it yet in real life though, so yeah, still on the list to see. But as we can see there, certainly looking at the model, the livery, it does look quite attractive. I quite like it personally. Now this particular loco, in terms of actually acquiring it, well, for me personally, I didn't actually buy this. This was very kindly given to me as a birthday present, which was very sweet, very kind. But it's been sat around for quite a while now because my birthday, well, it was over a month ago now, so the poor thing has been sat around for a little while, waiting to be reviewed, waiting to be ran. But we're finally here and we can finally have a look at it. But if you actually want to get this model, I have looked around on a few of the major retailers, and the only one I could find it on at the moment was from TMC, and they currently have it on offer for a price of, I think it was about £77. Obviously you can see on the screen now how much the price was, but it was just over £77 or something like that. Although that was a pre-order price, so I'm not too sure actually if they're definitely getting any more in, or what the case is going to be with that. But the RRP for this particular model was £96.99, and well, that would been the last year's I suppose RRP before Hornby did the latest increase on their prices. And for that amount of money, certainly with how old the tooling for the Hornby Class 66 is now, because if we look on the back of the box, we can see there the tooling is from 1999, because this was originally a Lima model when it was first released, and then obviously when Lima went out of business and Hornby acquired all the toolings, this was one of the models that they've acquired, and it hasn't been upgraded since, certainly not in terms of the detail or the features. The only upgrade that this has had, certainly recently, is the DCC socket, where they upgraded it, as we can see there, to 21 pin. Why they did that, I have no idea, because there is absolutely nothing on this loco that really justifies having a 21 pin socket on there. I suppose obviously 21 pin, it is more slightly more modern than 8 pin, but certainly for a loco like this, totally pointless, because there's no lights inside, there's no features whatsoever. It literally is just the motor and, well, I suppose obviously you've got the wiring going to the pickups and the motor. That is it. There's nothing else inside that at all. There's no reason for them to justify upgrading this to 21 pins. So yeah, I don't know why they did it. It's a bit of a waste in my opinion on resources. But well, they've done it, so we're gonna have to live with it, I suppose. But the very latest RRPs for the Hornby 66 is now £109.99, and for a model that is technically 25 years old, that is a bit ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, come on Hornby, this model has been out for so long now and you've released so many different versions of it that I really can't see why that price is justified. So in terms of value at the moment, yeah, not very good. Certainly in my opinion, not very good. But yeah, well, I suppose we don't really want to ramble on about it too much, do we? Because that would just get annoying. But yeah, so far value doesn't seem very good. But if you do want one of these, then fair enough. I would recommend going for it. Certainly where the livery is concerned, because Hornby have done so many different liveries for the Class 66 that I would say that's the only reason I would recommend buying one. In terms of detail and features and mechanism, yeah, wouldn't really bother with it. If you actually want a decent Class 66, certainly if you want the very best Class 66, then I recommend an Acura scale one. But if you want a Class 66 that is still decent but not mega expensive, then maybe a Bachmann one would be more suitable for you, because the Bachmann Class 66 And whilst that is still a fairly old model now, even that is getting on for 20 years old, it's still much more decent. It has way more detail than this. It's all-wheel drive, all-wheel pickup. Well, I suppose this one's all-wheel pickup as well. But yeah, all-wheel drive. It's got lights on it. It's got more detail. It's got more features. So that is something that I would recommend going for as well instead of this. And the Batman ones you can actually get even cheaper than these now. Certainly on the second-hand market, they're way cheaper than these. So yeah, certainly in that case, I wouldn't bother with these. But if livery is the main thing that you're after, then yeah, I would recommend going for these. Well, let's have a quick look at the end of the box before we open her up, so we can see the model code. If you want this particular one, is R30151. It's a GBRF Class 66 Coco, which is the wheel arrangement. The green progressor, which is the name, and then we can see the number there again, 66796. And apart from that, there isn't really much else on the box for us to look at. So let's open her up and have a look. So whip the sleeve off, and then we can get out the block of ice. Oops, gently ease that out. There we go, a little bit of tight fit. Have a very quick look at the instructions. So we can see there, Class 59/Class 66, and the reason Hornby did this was because they literally share the same mechanism. Whilst also the Class 59 and Class 66, they are quite similar in real life, but obviously not exactly the same, because the 66 is essentially a modern version of the 59. In model form, the mechanism that Hornby used to essentially drive the thing is exactly the same, which is why they did the same instructions for them. Now hopefully they've updated these to I suppose meet well, to show the very latest version of the model. So hopefully the main thing I'm looking for inside is showing the 21 pin socket inside. So hopefully they have done that, but we will see. And no, they haven't. Okay, brilliant, well done Hornby. The main thing is, as we can see here, so we can see DCC ready, but it is still showing the old 8-pin socket, so that's great. So we've got a model that is 21 pin, but it's showing the instructions for the old 8-pin version. So okay, well done Hornby, not really great, could have done a bit better there. But in terms of everything else, it is still pretty much exactly the same. So we can see the lubrication points there, so we can see the axles and the details as well. So we can see the few accessories that we've got inside, which is nice. Body removal, it literally is just clips, quite easy to get the bodies off on these, which is quite nice. So access is not a problem. And apart from that, there isn't really much else on there. It's just the usual hints and tips and all that. So we'll put those to one side. So grab the locomotive, we can slide off the sleeve there. We'll have a very quick look at the details. So we can see there. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's something I was expecting, because it does tend to be a standard thing now, is the nameplates. We can see there, proper etched metal nameplates, beautifully molded and painted, so that's great. I'll definitely fit those. And we've got some details there as well that the instruction talks about. So we can see the sort of air dam piece there, and we've also got the chain link couplings and the hoses as well. I think there's 2 sets of those in there. You can see just about see one of them there. So that's good. So we've got quite a few accessories, which is good. And again, I'll definitely fit those to the loco as well. So I'll detail up one of the ends and I'll fit those nameplates. That will definitely improve the loco a bit more. But let's open her up and get her out. So we've got a bit of plastic there. Just move that out of the way. And we can lift this up and we can get the loco out. There we are. And then put that back down. There we go. There we go. That's a bit tight. Put that to one side, and then we can grab the loco. And there we are. There she is. And yeah, it's not great overall, to be honest, is it? If you're familiar with these, you'll know that these aren't the best models in the world. Certainly when it comes to detail and features, they are very basic, because yeah, Hornby really haven't upgraded this model much at all since it was released. Especially for the price that these are now. At the very least, it would be nice to have some lights, even if it was just some headlights. That would at least justify the price a bit more, especially the latest price of 100. It's basically £110 for a loco that has no lights. Not really great, to be honest. But apart from that, it's the main thing that I think really does set these apart from being much worse than what they are, is the livery, because the livery on these is excellent. Definitely one of the I think standout features on these models today. Well, as I've said, I think it's the main sort of decent feature on these is the livery, because it is very, very nice. Almost, it's quite in your face. I think this one especially the roof there, quite a bright, vibrant green, which is quite cool. And you can even see there all the printing down the side as well, all done absolutely beautifully. We can see the tamper printed nameplate there. Obviously it doesn't look incredibly good, obviously because it's printed onto the corrugated side of the model. But yeah, apart from that, the livery is still very, very good. Definitely one of the redeeming features for these locos. But apart from that, in terms of other things like the detail, yeah, not great, because obviously, as I've already said, we've got no lighting at all on this model. We have got a separately fitted handrail around the front, which is good, I suppose. We've got a little bit of separately fitted detail there, but we've got no sprung buffers, and they're giant plastic moulded things. The couplings are NEM, which is quite nice. So if you want to change the coupling for one of your own, like a KD or something, then you can do that nice and easily. In terms of drive though on these, it is very basic. It's just 2 axles, just that one and that one, because the motor is just there inside the bogie. And we have got traction tyres as well. If I just flip the model over, you can see there the traction tyres just there and there. So yeah, not great for a loco that costs this much now. Back when these were cheaper, because these did used to be, I can remember when these were 75 quid RRP. So you could buy them from retailers for about £67. That was pretty good. Well, of course, even back then it felt a little bit much, but it was certainly much better than they are now. But yeah, I know I keep moaning about the price of these and then how, well, I suppose unreasonable it is. But you'd still expect, with how much the price of these, and I suppose a lot of models has gone up, you'd at least see some improvement somewhere. It doesn't have to be major. I'm not expecting Hornby to retool these to something like the Acura scale or Batman ones, but even just adding a small feature, just some basic lighting, just would be nice. It would just be nice to see some sort of improvements on these with the massive price increases that we've seen recently. And I know some people are going to say, oh well, you've got a 21-pin socket in here now, but that's not, I wouldn't really, I suppose it is an upgrade, but certainly I wouldn't say it's a brilliant upgrade. It's basically a pointless upgrade, because what's the point of adding and putting a new DCC socket inside for some, when essentially you're not really going to use it for anything, because there's no features inside that can really justify that. Because yeah, I know, as I've already said, there's no lights inside, there's nothing inside whatsoever, so it's a bit pointless really doing that. So yeah, yeah, I know I keep moaning about it, but I really do believe that it was very pointless them upgrading these to 21-pin. I really didn't see the point in that. But anyway, I'm not going to moan about it anymore. Well, I'll probably end up moaning about it again later, but I'll try and keep my mouth shut on it for now. And let's actually try and look at the model properly. So in terms of the detail, it's not overly bad. You have got some very nice mouldy details all around the loco. You can see on the bogies there, you've got the axle boxes, you've got the steps, which have been painted, which is quite nice. You can see the handrails around by the doors there. They are just moulded, but they have been very nicely painted, which is good. As I've already said, the livery is beautiful. It has been applied very, very well. I can't see any issues with it anywhere. It's all been very, very nicely done. You've got more mouldy detail around the underframe there. You've got some warning signs on the, I think they're the battery boxes, I'm pretty sure, and they've been done very well. And we can see the fuel tank there, which has the sort of, you can see the filler cap there on it, which is quite good. On the other bogie, basically just exactly the same as the other one. You can see all the mouldy details on there. On the ends as well, I've already said about the handrail there, and obviously the buffers. It's not terrible. The loco does look okay. You can see the horn grill at the top there, which has been nicely moulded. Obviously the cab detail is not great on these, but again, that's basically as you'd expect. But there is some in there. And you can see the seats in there, you can see some of the controls and some of the dials in there. Well, none of it's painted, at least there is a little bit of detail in there. So if you wanted to, if you really wanted to upgrade the model, you could maybe paint some of that. You could fit some crew in there, which would be quite easy to do. You could maybe fit a cab light in there. There's plenty of opportunity there, I suppose, with these to improve them. I suppose one of the major things that would really make these look better would be maybe a nice weathering. Just some basic weathering to the roof and underframe. That's probably something I'll do in the future. To sort of tone down all the vibrant colours, because she is quite shiny and new, but well, that's basically the case with most models, isn't it? But yeah, apart from that, while she is quite basic, it's still not, I wouldn't say it's still not terrible. It's certainly a nice looking model, especially where the livery is concerned. I think that's the main thing that really just really does sort of help it just be a bit better than what it is. But yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not great either, in my personal opinion. In terms of the weight, I suppose that's one thing we haven't really talked about. In terms of the weight, it's okay. These aren't criminally light. There is quite a lot of weight to these, to be fair, for what they are, and that is because Hornby do tend to pack a load of weight around the centre of the loco. Around here, there is quite a sort of big space in the chassis, and they sort of stack up these sort of metal plates inside, which is quite nice. So it does give the model a fair amount of weight, to be fair. And with those traction tyres, hopefully you'd at least be able to get this to haul a modest sized freight train, because they don't always haul massive rakes. They can haul some fairly short workings as well. So I would say certainly in terms of that, you shouldn't see any problems with these. But then again, in terms of performance, it can be a bit of a mixed bag with these. Certainly in my personal experience, the mechanism on these, whilst it can perform well, it's not always the most reliable. The main thing I find with those is the pickups on these, especially with the dummy bogie, and the pickups don't always make very good contact. And hopefully you can sort of see here, if I can show you, just by moving the axles from side to side there, the pickups just separate themselves from the wheels completely. And I'm pretty sure it's on all axles normally. I tend to see it. You can see on that one there, on that bottom pickup there, just by moving that a little bit, you can see the pickup just separates from the wheel there. So we might see some issues in terms of reliability with these quite quickly, and I certainly did on on my other Hornby 66 that I've got. It really didn't take long at all. Literally, probably it might have even been the first running session I did with it. After I ran the model in, it just started cutting out on points because the pickups just weren't making good contact at all. So yeah, hopefully we won't see that with this one, but I'm probably still gonna have to go in and adjust the pickups on this quite early on to get the model to run reliably for a long period of time, which isn't great for a new model personally, but well, if you have to do it, then I suppose you've got to do it. I've done it quite a lot, to be fair. The Hornby Class 59, which I mentioned earlier, which uses the same mechanism, that's something I've had to do on those as well, because I've got quite a few of the Hornby 59s, and on all of those I've had to adjust the pickups on the dummy bogie as well for the same reason. So I would say this particular mechanism, again, whilst it can perform well, yeah, it's not incredibly reliable. So I suppose we'll just have to see when we get on the track, don't we, to see what she's like. Hopefully she'll be all right. But if we do see any issues with performance, then I would say it'll likely be down to those pickups making poor contact. Anyway, we've rambled on enough. I think what we do need to do now is actually get her up on the layout, give her some power, and we'll actually see how she runs. Okay, so here we are back up by the layout. It's still windy outside, but well, it's only been about 10 seconds, so well, it would be. But anyway, let's grab the loco and let's get her on the track. Quite a lot of wheels to get on, but hopefully she'll be okay. There we are, I believe we are on. Yeah, that seems okay. Not feeling a lot of grip from those traction tyres actually. Those wheels are on the track. Yeah, definitely on. But yeah, I'm not really feeling much grip from them, to be fair. Can push the loco about quite easily, so hopefully they'll be okay. Hopefully they're not going to just not work and not do their job. But I suppose again we'll see. But yeah, I think we're all good. All wheels on. Controller's plugged in. Power is on. So let's give her some power and see what happens. Oh yeah, that wasn't too bad. Maybe a little bit noisy, but certainly no horrible noises or anything. That was quite smooth, to be fair. Let's come back the other way. Yeah, that's not too bad actually. To be fair, the motors in these are quite good. So they are 5-pole motors, I believe. So yeah, shouldn't see any major issues, I would say, from them. Even though the gear train, I suppose, is quite basic. So there's no flywheels or anything in here. It literally is just the motor, which to be fair, it does have twin shafts on it. But it literally is just shafts out to worm gears, and that goes through a very small gear train at each side of the power bogie, and that then goes to each of the axles down the ends. So it is quite a basic mechanism, but I do find it can perform very well. When the loco does work and it can actually pick up power properly, it does tend to run very well. There is a little bit of noise coming from, I think, from this centre axle here though, but I think that is just the pickups rubbing against the bogie. So hopefully as she runs, those will wear in a bit and the noise will die down a little bit more. Well, I suppose we'll have to see. If it doesn't go away, then maybe I could look at adjusting those or something, or maybe it could be maybe a bit of oil on the axle or something. I don't know. But yeah, we'll get her running in because she is brand new. She's never been around before, so we'll get her running in, get her all nicely warmed up and lubricated, and then we'll come back and we'll see if she's any better. So 50% speed, and we'll do the usual about half an hour in each direction or so. Maybe a little bit less because it's quite a basic mechanism. But anyway, let's get her running in and get it warmed up and lubricated. Yes, there we are. Nice medium speed. Maybe a little bit slow, but again, she is brand new, so as she runs, she should hopefully speed up. In fact, I am expecting it because, well, certainly on my last Hornby Classic 6 that I bought and ran in, and that did speed up massively as she ran in over time, so hopefully we'll see the same with this one. But yeah, not too bad. Nice and smooth. Maybe a little bit inconsistent, so might be slowing down a tiny bit. I don't know if that's just me. But as she is, yeah, certainly not too bad. Certainly no major issues that seem obvious. Overall, very, very good. Okay, so let's just bring her to a stop. We'll go a little bit further. There we go. Okay, so there we are. She's all nicely running now, and yeah, she's definitely running faster than she was to start with. Not massively, but there is definitely a noticeable improvement in speed since she's run in, which is normally to be expected. Normally you do find as locos run in and the motor sort of gets used to running, it does tend to speed up quite a bit. Not all the time, but I would say certainly with these, I do find it to be quite an often experience. But yeah, overall, no major issues. Overall, ran absolutely beautifully. No derailments, no major issues such as any like horrible noises. Overall, very, very good. But I think what we need to do next is I'm actually going to test the haulage capability of this model. Obviously, being a Classic 6, you would expect that these would be able to haul quite significant loads. However, what I'm going to do is I'm not actually going to hook it up to a long rake of wagons, mainly because I don't actually have a decent rake of wagons that I would feel would be good at actually testing this loco strength. Well, I do, of course I do actually, but for this test, I'm actually going to do something slightly different. So if I just move her slightly forwards, move her towards the camera a bit, there we go. What I'm actually going to do is actually hook her up to a couple of dummy locos, more specifically a couple of dummy Batman Classic 6s. Now these are quite old, well I say quite old, they're not mega old, but I'm pretty sure these are from the original release of the Batman Classic 6, because these originally were the old 8-pin versions. So this would, if you were to buy one of the original Batman Classic 6s from when they first started doing them, this is the model that you would have received, something like this. And these were originally pickup wise, it was 8 wheels picking up, so not all wheel pickup, it was the very inner axles didn't pick up any power, and they also as I said, were 8-pin DCT ready inside, but apart from that, it's pretty much the usual sort of stuff. So full lighting package, centrally mounted motor, all-wheel drive. Overall, not too bad. However, I certainly experienced quite a lot of performance issues with these, with them just randomly cutting out for no reason whatsoever. Even with fully clean track, fully clean wheels, fully clean pickups, and basically as good as you would expect in terms of how clean the mechanism could be, these still ended up cutting out quite often, and I had quite a few of them. I say I had a few, I had 3, but one of them I ended up buying a new chassis for, and the other 2 I ended up deciding, you know what, I got them very cheaply, I'm just going to strip them down, take everything out and convert them to dummy locos. So literally everything has come out of this loco, as well as the other one here. So there's no motor inside, no circuit board, even the lighting's come out, all of the gears have come out, so there's absolutely nothing inside these whatsoever now. Essentially these are literally just our chassis, metal chassis block inside, bogies and body. That is it, so there's nothing inside these whatsoever. And that is mainly because I wanted to make them as free rolling as I possibly could, and they certainly do roll fairly well, to be fair. So hopefully despite the weight, because obviously these are still quite heavy units. Hopefully this loco will be able to haul them without issue. So let's couple them up. There we are. And I'll give her a quick hand back into shots quickly. Oh, there we go. So let's flip direction again, and let's see if she can actually haul them. Quickly. Well, let's actually do something else quickly. If I just uncouple them, what we'll do first is we'll very quickly see what her slow speed is like at the moment, and actually see how well she can crawl. So let's turn the controller up very slowly, and let's see how slow she can go. There we go, it starts buzzing. Well, I'll tell you what, despite how basic the mechanism in these is, and also running on a very basic Hornby controller, that's not too bad. Slow, steady acceleration, sort of. Not incredibly smooth, a little bit jerky, but overall that's not too bad actually, especially with how basic these are. That's not too bad. Yeah, overall I can't really fault that too much. Maybe a little bit of improvements could be had there, but overall that's not really bad. So let's recouple her to the other 266s. Oh, there we go. Could have been a bit more gentle. And let's flip direction, and let's see if you can actually haul them. I'll go 50% speed again, and let's see if she can do it. Ooh, sort of. We're slipping a bit. A bit more power. Okay, so let's see how she goes. So first corner, slowing down a bit. Ooh. She's not liking that. Let's turn the power up a little bit more. There you go, we're about 60% power now. So on the straights, she is absolutely fine. But yeah, going to the curves, she's not incredibly happy. Yeah, really struggling going around there. Oh, and no, she has stopped. Is she derailed? No, she hasn't derailed. Oh, there we go. Come on, are you going to go? No, she's not liking that. There we go. Gets a bit of grip again. No. Yeah, she's not liking that at all. And there really isn't that much drag in these units. They are quite freewheeling. But it's just the weight, I think, is the main thing there. Yeah. So yeah, not great, but it could be worse. She is hauling them, but certainly getting around the curves. Yeah, she's not liking it too much. Let's see if she can do this other curve again. No, I don't think she's going to do it, is she? Oh, no. No. I thought she was going to do it for a moment, but no, she has stopped again. And the motor is slowing down quite a bit. I can definitely notice quite a decrease in the speed of it. So don't think there's an awful amount of torque in the mechanism either. Anyway, let's bring her to a stop. So there we go. So yeah, maybe not the kindest haulage test in the world, but pretty much every other loco I've got, well, I suppose that isn't Hornby 66 or 59, can do this. So in terms of strength, they're not terrible. I mean, she is hauling them as we saw, but she does seem to be struggling a bit, especially on the corners. Now, there is going to be a bit extra drag on corners, but it's not going to be absolutely extreme. It does seem to be in some cases that those traction tyres are losing quite a bit of grip as well at times. So not absolutely brilliant, but it could be worse. Again, she is doing it, she is hauling them, but there is some improvement I think could be made there. But overall, that's not too bad. So I think what we'll do is we'll take one of them off, and then we'll get her running again with just one of the locomotives. Okay, so there we are. So I've taken the EWS one off, and she's now just got the Freightliner one. So hopefully now she'll be able to do it. So again, let's go for about 50% or just above. And let's see how she goes this time. There we are, instant improvement. Let's see if she's going to do this corner now. Yeah, just about. Still slowed down a tiny bit, but that is instantly better. So she can haul decent weights. I mean, these Batman 66s, they do weigh a few hundred grams. So she can still haul a fairly decent amount of weight, certainly. I still think that maybe she still could be a bit better. But overall, certainly not absolutely terrible. As these are, they're not absolutely terrible logos by any means. I would still say they have their place. That certainly compares to most other locomotives out there. There are better models you can get. If one thing you're interested in is livery, then I would recommend one of these. Certainly if you're not going to be hauling massive realistic freight trains with these, and you're not interested in things like having lights or loads of intricate detail, then this is a model I can recommend. But if you want a decent Class 66, then I would say avoid these. Especially where the price is concerned, I wouldn't say these are the best value models. All things considered, she's okay. She's certainly okay.
So now let's have some ratings for the Hornby HS2 GBRF Class 66. So the detail on the loco, I've given it a 6 out of 10 because overall the detail that is there, it is okay. It has been moulded very well. I certainly can't find any issues with that. The separately fitted details, whilst there are very few of them, they are okay. Maybe a little bit wonky here and there. Certainly I think the handrails in the cabs, I think one of them is a little bit wonky. Maybe hasn't been moulded to the best that it can be. Obviously if it was metal it would be a lot better, or certainly you would expect it to be anyway. But overall, yeah, what is there is okay, but it is still quite basic. For example, as I've said, the separately fitted detail is quite basic with how much there is. There certainly isn't that much of it. There's no lights on the logo at all, and overall it does look quite basic. But again, this is to be expected. It is an old model now, so you're not expecting the detail to be great. So obviously, being very harsh on it probably isn't overly fair. But yeah, as I've said, what is there is okay. It could be better maybe, I suppose, in some areas, but certainly as it is, all things considered, it is okay, but obviously not as good as compared to most other locomotives, certainly that we see today. The performance of the loco, overall, it is very good. I certainly can't fault the performance majorly, and the loco does run very well. It is quite smooth, it is for the most part quite consistent. I think one of the main things is maybe the torque of the motor maybe isn't overly good. Even just hauling that 166 from the layout, the motor did seem to slow down a fair bit here and there. And I think those traction tyres as well, I don't think they're quite up to the standard. They do seem to be slipping a bit here and there for whatever reason. Even though the track is very clean, and I have looked at the tyres and they do seem to be okay, and they're fitted perfectly well, so it could just be that they're just not up to the job. Maybe the material isn't great, but apart from that, the couple of little niggles, as I've said, overall performance is very good. She does seem to be running very reliably, but then again, my other ones did, but it deteriorated quite quickly over time with those pickups. But certainly at the moment, first impressions have been very good from the performance, and overall, yeah, certainly can't really fault it that much, to be honest. The quality of the loco, overall, the quality is okay. The loco does feel quite sturdy in the hands, but then again, obviously with how basic she is, I mean, not expecting to see sort of any details or anything that feel like going to fall off. All the moulding for the most part is very good. The livery application, as I've already said, is absolutely beautiful, no faults there. And overall, generally, she has been built very well, but again, obviously that is down to her being quite a basic model. I think the quality is let down slightly again by the mechanism, but obviously then again, as expected with these, the mechanism isn't going to be as good as you'd expect on some other models. So I suppose again maybe the quality mark here is a bit harsh, but as expected with a loco like this, you're not always going to get absolutely top-notch, amazing quality in every single area. But as she is, overall, she is okay. Again, she's built well, she's been decorated absolutely perfectly. Overall, yeah, not too bad at all. The value for money then, this was a bit of a tricky one. Obviously, I got her for free technically because she was a gift, so maybe I'm being a bit harsh here. But I have taken into consideration the prices that she's available for at the moment and the RRPs. Obviously, as we saw, TMC do have the loco so far advertised on their website at the moment for about £77, which isn't overly bad. I would say that in itself is a score, probably more of an 8 or a 9, maybe a 9, maybe that's a bit generous. The very latest RRP for the 66 in general of basically £110, I would say that is quite ridiculous. That's probably more of a score of about a 4, maybe a 5. So I've sort of split the difference a bit, and taken into consideration the RRP that this loco was when it came out of £96.99. That I would say is probably about, I suppose, what the score I've given of 7 out of 10, sort of middle of the road score in a way. Certainly not terrible value, but I would say it's not great either. I would say even then that the loco is probably a little bit too expensive for what it is. But overall, it's still okay. I have seen worse value, and there certainly are worse value locos out there than this. Overall, not too bad, but yeah, again, as I said, it could be better. So that's an overall score of 7 out of 10. Overall, not too bad. I think quite well deserving. It is an okay loco. It does have its little niggles and I think improvements that could be made here and there. But overall, it certainly is okay.